Welcome guys, welcome to Autodoc. Today's topic is how to check the battery, car battery, when to replace it and how to replace it without data loss. For that we're gonna simply need multimeter and probably 10 minutes of your time. Here I have BMW E39. I'm doing some major repair on this engine, but the alternator is out, so I'm going to show you what you need to do in order to check the current near the alternator. You will have to find the alternator and get some kind of access to it. This is the alternator from this car. To check charging from the alternator, we need to check by using multimeter set to DC voltage around 20 volts and positive to the positive terminal of the alternator, negative to the casing, and we're gonna have some kind of readings. And now it's very important, on low RPM, let's say the car is idling, we should see something around between 13.5 14.4, which is good. In newer cars you might have higher voltage because of the new systems cars having something between 15-16 volts, so don't be scared you have something like too much, as it's still okay. But in older cars you should have something like 13.5 14.4. If you're having below that on idle without load, electrical load on the system, that means there's something wrong with the alternator itself. Another thing is, like I said before, you should apply load to it, like windows, let's say heated windows, lights, high beam, low beam, radios, etc. So we can check again what kind of charge we're having. If we're having something below 13 volts or even close to 12 volts, that means the alternator is not charging enough. It doesn't have power to overcome the load plus charge the battery while you're driving. So before changing the battery you should check first the alternator, later the battery. This is my battery, which is 15 years old, is still original, came out with the car from the factory. Well, it's still good, but one thing, the car wasn't started, it sat overnight, and we're having 11.8 volts, which is indication this battery is, well, old and weak, because in fresh battery or good battery should have something above 12, let's say 12 and a half. That's an indication of a good battery, and this one it looks a bit low, and that's why I'm having sometimes problems with starting the car. Today is quite warm outside, but when it's cold, we know when it's cold we're having issues, we're having problems with starting, cranking the engine. You can hear the cranking of the engine is not good enough like it used to be. In warm days, hot days, we're not gonna notice that. That's how battery works. They need to have some kind of good environment. If it's cold, we see something like that. So now I'm gonna start the car, like I said before, checking the alternator. I know my alternator is good because it was replaced and should have proper charge for the battery. So I'm gonna show you the difference when the car is idling, and you're gonna see the difference on the charge. You could actually hear the cranking of the engine wasn't like very great, but now you see the voltage, it's 14.4, which is as best we can get in this car. So it's verifying that the alternator is good. Well, the battery probably not, because it's 15 years old, and also the engine is off right now. You can see the voltage is dropping. Also, it's all about the driving style. If you're doing a lot of miles every day, that's fine. there's a lot of time to charge the battery, but if you're doing like short trips, that's gonna create problem with charging the battery. That's why the batteries are dying quicker, and that's why we're having problem. You see the voltage dropping already below 12.5, and it's gonna go down to, like we saw before, 11.98. So I know this battery needs to be replaced, but another thing, I do want to replace it without data loss. Data loss is simply, we don't want to set our radio stations again and other modules in the car, like maybe seats, memory seats, etc, etc. So I'm gonna explain you how to do it my way, because it's gonna be a theory, because today I'm not gonna be replacing that battery, probably soon, but this is what I'm gonna do. If you want to replace the battery, you start by undoing negative terminal. Why? Negative and chassis of the car is the same thing. If I gonna somehow by accident touch the terminal and the chassis, nothing gonna happen. But if I do it here with positive and the chassis, that's gonna create sparks, even a fire, which is very dangerous. That's why you want to start with negative. Another thing, I don't want to lose any data, like I said before. So the thing is, before you undo any terminals, you should hook it to, let's say, jump leads and another car battery or charger before removing the clamps. But I'm gonna show you safer way, which is in my opinion easier and safer, by using positive terminal and negative terminal. Negative terminal in the car under the bonnet could be anything. Almost all cars these days have positive terminal under the bonnet. Why is it for? Because it's easier. Let's say our neighbor needs some kind of help because his car doesn't want to start. We're just using these terminals, jump leads, and connect to his car the same way. We don't have to look for the battery compartment. Sometimes batteries are in the front of the car under the bonnet, sometimes not, like in this case. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use small battery charger connected here. It's the same thing. All ECUs modules will be supplied with current, and now it's a lot easier to get access to undo the screws, remove the clamps of the terminals, replace the battery, put new one back in, secure it, and job done. So remember guys, about checking the alternator first. If it's bad, we should start with this. I'm not saying the battery might be bad as well. So first this, battery later. Remember about likes, comments, and subscribing our channel, and hitting that bell button to get notifications about new videos every day.